Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros. This is Leading Off, brought to you by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. It's me, Joey P. Joe Pizzapia. With me today is the Welsh, and of course, it's you, the Peanuts, the Cracker Jacks, the Randos, as some of you like to call yourselves nowadays. But I think that's like day 3 of this is kind of old already. So it was funny for like the first day, maybe 2. Now it's like, okay, just, come on.
It'll have
Let's
its
go.
shine again, though. Don't worry. It'll come back. Like it'll
Sure.
make its comeback like next week or something. Everyone will love it again.
There you go. And speaking of loving it, let's get to some baseball. Let's get to some news. And we'll start, of course, with another near no. So close to the near no-nos. Oh, my goodness. Welsh, this time it was Tyler Anderson. 2 outs. Come so close only to fade away. And it's funny how I remember, I think it was 91 was the year. I want to say, I could be wrong, where we had 7 no-hitters or something crazy like that. Like every day you woke up, there was another no-hitter.
Yeah.
It's just fascinating that we are getting so many of them, or those close to no-hitters, because people don't change their approach with 2 strikes. People don't alter what they're trying to do. They don't try to just get on base. It's a different game. So therefore, these types of outings, I feel like, are certainly more where teams are more susceptible and offense is more susceptible to being no hit.
Can I ask you, what is your definition of a almost no hitter? Is it going into the 9th? Is it going 8 innings? Is it going 7
I think
innings?
Ninth is you got close. You were right there.
Because that
Once you
seems
get to
be
the 9th
unanimous.
inning, I think that's it. Yeah.
I asked Bogman about that because I feel like this is becoming the season of almost no hitters. Maybe you could also throw in guys that are pulled, that have a no hitter and pulled in 6. That's kind of like a missed opportunity. And then guys that lose it in the 8th. It feels like a lot of close opportunities this season, and back-to-back nights. That's fun. That's fun.
Our boy JP was having fun. He got Tyler Anderson on a waiver wire claim yesterday. So hope you started him.
Yeah.
That's if you did, it was probably a good night for you. Also a good night for Spencer Strider. Ooh, 14, baby. And you were all over that. Well, she loved the Strider yesterday. So
well, Joe, I love Strider in general. Maybe you heard me say I liked the under 6.5 strikeouts, but it was the 16.5 strikeouts, Joe. It's actually 60. I liked him at 16 under was what it was. I love Strider, and here's the problem. I've been wanting to say that I want to take it every single game. So of course, the first time I'm like, I'll take the under. He had only hit it twice. He got like 120 pitches. Like they let him completely go. So now it is Team Strider full force.
And how long does that force last? Because he is a younger pitcher. He was a guy pitching out of the bullpen. So do you believe this is a guy you can start and be happy about and confident in for the next 2 months? Or do you think this is a guy that could take you all the way to the end of the wire here?
I think he could take you to the end of the wire. The problem could be is they could easily switch him. They could throw him back into that leveraged reliever role, but he's a strikeout magnet and he's really finding his rhythm. I asked a question on In This League a couple weeks ago, Strider versus Ashby. People lost their mind. They're just like, oh, how could you ask this? How could this be a question? Look at that question now. Look at it now. Yeah. It's because of Strider and his strikeout ability. That's exactly why you asked that question. So yes, if he continues starting, he's got like a mid-2 ERA, strikeouts through the roof. He had 11 last night. It's a huge performance. This is the type of guy, and if he keeps it up, he can get into that McClanahan territory where he is a must play from K props moving forward the rest of the year.
Now here's a question for you too. If Soroka comes back, is that going to be the guy that bumps him out of the rotation or no?
I would be shocked if they just let Soroka go. I would imagine Soroka has got to be babied. Now, here's the thing. They could piggyback. We talk a lot about piggybacks. Sure. They would make sense as a piggyback. Don't go nuts with Strider and, maybe make those two be a 7-inning guy. But if Soroka were to start and Strider were to be your inning 4, 5, 6, and 7, he gets the win. And in 4 innings, the guy can strike out 8. So if it's at this point, 5.5 strikeouts, you always are going to bet the over on Strider. That's just what you should do. 6.5, I'm probably going to cherry pick the bad strikeout teams, but I'm going to hope Strider is going to be able to maintain this because he has looked phenomenal.
Manny Machado also looked phenomenal. More on him a little later in the show, but he did it a home run, drove in 4 yesterday against the Cubs. Ooh, boy. The Cubbies, things are not going well there for the Cubs. And Manny Machado is certainly on another hot streak himself. Ahmed Rosario hit a home run, scored 4 runs. Jack Flaherty yielded 4 runs, 2 earned in his first return. So there you go. Jack Flaherty back. Very exciting for fantasy owners everywhere. Adley Rutschman finally got the big one off. He got the big home run, his first. Congratulations, Adley Rutschman. Good for you, kid. Touch them all. Hopefully he hits many more. Ryan Mountcastle also went deep twice, but Mike Mayer did not pick him. So I'm not sure, like what happens then? I don't understand.
Does Mountcastle really hit a homer if Mike Mayer doesn't choose him in the contest?
That's a good philosophical question to ask.
Is it really a homer?
I think that's part of it, and I think the other part of it is I always feel like Mike Mayer is just in his basement writing the letter, like in the Eminem video, where he's just like talking to him. Is like, you hit a home run the other day. You know, I didn't pick you. What's up with that? You know, just
dear Ryan, I saw you hit that homer.
Yeah, the ball was flying. I was really excited for all the hits.
Not seeing you.
When you hit balls without me, you make me feel like a little bitch. No, whatever. Rafael Devers also a homer in his fourth straight game, so Devers has been red hot as well. Some injuries, though, to deal with. There always is. Some good, some bad. We had Ryu, who underwent his surgery, so that happened pretty quickly. And then Andrew Heaney looks like he could return on Sunday for the Dodgers. Question about Heaney. If he's out there in the waiver wire, you adding him? And how many starts before you want to throw him into a lineup if you have the ability to wait? Let's just say. I know some people don't have the ability; they're just grabbing at straws. But when it comes to Andrew Heaney, how many good starts do you need before you feel confident?
Just one. He was a beast to start the year. It was one of those things where we saw Heaney and we were just like, oh my gosh, is this actually happening? And he's gone. That's what we did. He had a little over, I know, I was actually almost close to 14K per nine, didn't give up earned run. His XFIP was sitting in the 2s, wasn't walking guys at a crazy clip. It was only over those 2 games. There's an argument to be had that pending the matchup, I might just throw him back out there, but you always should be cautious about guys in their first start back and not really worry about it. A la Flaherty. I would give him 1, and then I would get him back out there because he was a strikeout machine. The Dodgers have they've got something going down where revived careers of Tyler Anderson. Gonsolin looks like an ace at this point. And Heaney was those guys before he got hurt. He was the first of this entire crew that looked like, oh my gosh, he might be completely career revived in LA. So yeah, is dominant as a strikeout guy. He is. I'd love to see him come back and show more of that. And then he's a must start. He's not a streaming guy. He's a must start moving forward as long as this injury isn't lingering.
Yeah, that's for sure. And
he's a must pick up if he's actually.
Oh no, 100%. I mean, I'm sure he's still rostered in most leagues, but I wonder what that percentage is. I mean, my guess is he's probably available still in like 35% of leagues, something like that. Probably my guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna look while you're going. I'm gonna look and see like CBS if I can find his roster percentage.
Here's a good question too, and we'll get to some more of the injuries. Brant Cox wants to know: would you rather have Buxton or Springer rest of season? For me, this is an interesting one. I get where you're coming from. In a points league, I want Springer because I find him more dependable in that sort of format. But if it's Roto, then I'm going to roll the dice with Buxton. Both these guys are always injury risks anyway. I mean, Buxton, the king of injury risk, but that's how I think I take the risk in Roto because of the stolen bases and they're hard to find. But Welsh, is it just blanket Buxton for you as usual?
I mean,
with your binky?
Let's give me a break here. What are we talking about? Yeah, it's Buxton.
Mike Mayer is singing the Dido part of that song right now. If you didn't like the video right directly after the Ryan Mountcastle rap, I don't know what. I don't know. I question your choices.
And I'm wondering why.
Yes, good. Starling Marte day-to-day with a wrist contusion. Kevin Kiermaier leaves the game with an Achilles injury. Jordan Hicks, though, ready for rehab assignment with that forearm issue. So that's good news for the Cardinals, getting another pitcher back. So the Cardinals, making their push, getting Flaherty back, getting Hicks back, getting healthy. It's real good. Speaking of healthy, can we go ahead?
Oh, yeah, I've got Heaney if you want it.
What's the Heaney?
What do you guess his roster percentage?
I think he's rostered probably in 65% of leagues.
Pretty close. 75% of leagues in CBS. Okay, this is CBS's format. So what that'll probably mean is like Yahoo, I bet it's closer to 50. ESPN probably 40. My favorite stat is that it is 3% started still. Dear Ryan, I wrote you, but you still ain't calling. I left my cell pager and my home phone at the bottom. I like it.
Yeah, my rap's better.
We're doing the whole thing.
All right, can we talk about this? At 29 years old, Manny Machado joins MLB royalty. He's got 1,500 hits, 250 homers. The list of players in this company is staggering. Manny Machado, Miguel Cabrera, Albert Pujols, Alex Rodriguez, Ken Griffey Jr., Eddie Murray, Ron Santo, Orlando Cepeda, Frank Robinson, Hank Aaron, Eddie Matthews, Mickey Mantle, Willie Mays, Mel Ott, Jamie Foxx, Lou Gehrig, and Andrew Jones. Andrew Jones is the only guy who's not in the Hall of Fame in that group. That's pretty stunning. And I think Andrew Jones is a Hall of Famer, with the best center fielders I've ever seen. So I have no problem with him ever getting in. But wow, that is
1,500 hits and 250 homers before the age of 30. That list. Andrew Jones is an absolute travesty. And I just want to point out, his son is probably the best baseball player in this upcoming draft, and could go number one unless the Orioles are going to go cheap. And then he would come to my Arizona Diamondbacks. Drew Jones is a phenomenal, ridiculous talent. Andrew Jones should be in the Hall of Fame. It makes me sick. But that is an insane list of guys. I rag on these like weird, like, hey, we put everything together and we're going to create this little fun stat. But when you see these, when they're attached to like insane names with this type of scope, okay, I'm in. Like, this is ridiculous list for Machado.
It's ridiculous. And these are all the guys before 30. Every single one of them is a Hall of Famer. We're talking all MLB greats. I mean, Ron Santo and Cepeda may be a little bit. I mean, when you're dealing with the A-Rod and Pujols and Cabrera totals and the Frank Robinson, Hank Aaron, Mickey Mantle, Willie Mays, Jimmy Foxx, Double X, Lou Gehrig names, I mean, it's stunning. So there's definitely a tier, and there's another tier, but the whole tier is Hall of Famers, except for Andrew Jones, who, again, I think he should be. I'm curious if you think he's Andrew Jones. Let's put it to a little bit of a vote here. Andrew Jones, Hall of Famer, yes or no, in the chat right now. Let's see how many people think yes or no for Andrew Jones. If they had a vote, would they vote for him? And again, if you want to get in on this, subscribe to Fantasy Bros MLB so you can drop that in the chat.
I don't know, real quick. I don't know if it matters for everybody, but he played 17 years, just reminding, just fell short of 2,000 hits, 434 homers, so just short of the 500, 152 stolen bases.
Wait, how many homers did he have? 400 and how many?
452 career homers.
450. Okay.
And 368 of those came with Atlanta. He played for Atlanta for 12 years. This is probably one of the things that holds him back. 254 career batting average, which
what was the OPS
great.
though?
OPS was OPS was 823 over his
above
career.
800. You got me listening at least.
He
and
did
how many
not,
stolen bases did he have?
He had 152. So over 17 years, that's a problem here. He hadn't hit 250 since 2006, which means he finished his final 6 years of his career hitting under 250. The guy was one of the more predominant defensive players in Major League Baseball history. I mean, honestly, if we're talking like center field. So incredible defender, pretty good, solid home run numbers. Hits are kind of there, but stolen bases down, batting average down.
I guess defense just matters for me. I mean, it's the same reason I think Keith Hernandez should be in the Hall of Fame. If you're the best defensive player at your position every year for a decade and you hit as well, then I don't understand how you're not a Hall of Famer. Like, I mean, he's not a good center fielder. He is game-changing center fielder. We're talking like Jim Edmonds should be in the Hall of Fame too. That's nuts.
10 straight Gold Gloves from 1998 to 2007. 10 straight. He also finished inside MVP award inside the top 3 once, and he made 5 All-Star games in his time. So just throwing it out there.
See, I keep saying Jim Edmonds for years too. I was appalled that he was one and done on the ballot because he's got 393 homers. Okay, so he's got less homers, but career 284 hitter, a career OPS of 903. 903, a career OPS of 903, a 284 hitter, one of the best defensive first center fielders I've ever seen in my entire life. And he was one and done on the ballot. It was absurd, dude.
Andrew Jones or Jim Edmonds? By the way, Jim Edmonds' wife was in Real Housewives of something, and Jim Edmonds showed up.
Yeah,
he wasn't great.
He's weird. Dude.
He wasn't the coolest. He wasn't a cool guy. He was a cool guy.
Were you and Mayor watching that and talking about it in Slack yesterday? You guys watching the Real Housewives?
Mayor, you want to start a little group?
How did you end up seeing this?
I don't. My wife watches it. So like if I was like laying in bed, I would look over and then and hey, listen, it's not the worst show to watch on mute sometimes. And I see Jim Edmonds. So I got a little bit interested and I was like, ooh, Jim Edmonds. Yeah. Not the coolest guy on the planet.
No. I mean, he might be the coolest guy, but not a good guy necessarily. It's not the Hall of Fame of nice. It's not the Hall of Nice.
Yeah,
it's baseball. And once again, I'm appalled that, Ozzie Smith is automatically a Hall of Famer. He never hit for any power in his career. He was an amazing center field, shortstop. I don't understand why we don't apply that to other positions. Like, why doesn't that matter? Why does it only matter at shortstop? Because he was fun to watch, because he played for the Cardinals, because he was at a fun nickname and he did flips. I mean, that's not fair. It's ridiculous.
I'll tell you, you're not wrong about the intangible stuff. I think what's funny is the Gold Gloves are
even Wonky says it. Ozzie Smith did backflips, Joe.
Yeah,
that's why. I mean,
I think back with Andrew Jones, just real quick. I think the problem is the defensive prowess is being taken into this, because if you just look at the stats, there's not Hall of Fame worthy stats alone, like under 500 homers, not 2,000 hits, a 254 career batting average. The guy only hit over 300 once in his entire career. The only reason we're still talking about him is because of the defense. So it is one of those things where I don't think we have to be like, man, why does the defense matter more? It really does. That's why we're still in this list. But I will say, you look at the impact of the early part of his career. Good Lord, he made that list of all those players. He just had a really not great fall. Maybe a bigger question could be this: if he had ended his career 5 years earlier, or even cut it short, 31, 32, and just had that shorter stint, and went off into the wild blue yonder with all of those Gold Gloves, would we give him the Terrell Davis type of thing? It's a short career, but it was incredible.
I always feel like those players, the players you don't see decline, you always have a different feeling for. But then I'm also the guy that looks at Paul Konerko stats over his career and go, look at this guy every year putting up incredible numbers, 3,100 like every year for a decade, and nobody seems to care but me. I don't get it. I don't get the criteria for the Hall of Fame. Everyone wants to make Joey Votto Hall of Fame, but Paul Konerko's not. I'm like, go look at Paul Konerko's every year stats, and then go look at Joey Votto every season, and then talk to me. Paul Konerko, Team Konerko. Mike Mayer has been bothering me about this since last night. He put it in the show sheet today. He said, I didn't put anything in except this. The Astros in this immaculate innings.
Yes, I saw this.
Why do I not care about this? This is weird. I feel like I've become mayor here. I don't care about this. This is not interesting to me at all. It came against the same three hitters, so okay, that's quirky. But do you care about this? Is this interesting to you?
I don't necessarily care about it, but I did see a friend of mine, Joe Doyle, from Prospects Live. He posted that I think they said the odds of having an immaculate inning are 1 in 40,000. And then the odds of, I think he was just throwing out math numbers here, but he was saying like the odds of having having 2 immaculate innings in one game was like 1 point something billion. So the odds of 2 immaculate innings happening were almost to none. So the odds of it first happening is pretty incredible. I think they said 1 in 10,000 was like a no-hitter. So it is special in its feat, but I do also agree, like, I don't care about immaculate innings.
This is interesting. The chat's gotten real hot here. This is really good. And this is why I love our people here. Now, Wonky's saying Jack Morris is in the Hall of Fame, so it means nothing. One game does not a Hall of Famer make. Jack Morris was the best pitcher in the 80s for the most part in terms of pitching and winning games when that was the standard, which is just figure out a way to win, Jack. So Jack would go out there with a 6-run lead, and he would just let people hit balls, and you would just go throw 9 innings and let people hit balls. He didn't care. It was before the metrics really entered in. It was that last era before metrics really mattered, where they just judged you on wins. Are you winning games? Are you going deep into games? Are you giving innings? That's all everybody cared about. And you know what? Jack Morris showed up in a lot of big games. He showed up in big games for the Twinkies. He showed up in big games for the Tigers. Okay, Jack Morris was a winning pitcher. Jack Morris is a Hall of Famer too. Carrot Wonky says.
I would tell you, here's a hot take. I could also say, I don't care who's in the Hall of Fame. I
love this. He had only 254 wins. 254 wins. No one's going to smell 250 wins in the next 25 years of baseball. Or ever again, 250 wins. Okay, this was in big font, so I had to talk about this. Yankees 30 games over 500. 30. That was
really big font.
I just copied and pasted it, but I didn't copy it as plain text, so it just came up the way it was on the whatever site when I saw it, or whatever Twitter thing. I was like, oh, look at that. 30 games over. But still, can we talk about it? 30 games over. That's an impressive. Look, the Yankees are doing it here with Judge. They're doing it with the pitching. They're doing it with a closer than Holmes that they didn't think was going to be their closer. Got to give the Yankees credit. They're getting it done.
Yeah, thanks to Judge, and thanks to all the ancillary pieces. I mean, you have a rotation. What was it, coming into like mid-May, where your worst ERA starter was Garrett Cole of all your starters? Right? You're gonna walk into a good amount of wins. Clay Holmes. I was also hyper aggressive on Holmes, regardless of what's going on with Chapman, because I really think he should continue being the closer. And your offense is clicking, all of it working very, very well. And the Yankees are a problem.
On this day in baseball, in 1993, Ken Griffey Jr. hits his 100th career home run, and he becomes the fourth youngest in Major League Baseball history to hit that mark. Only Mel Ott, Eddie Matthews, and Tony Conigliaro, Tony C from the Boston Red Sox, which is one of the crazy stories. I mean, you don't know that Tony C story of, this bright, shining young player coming up the same time, as like the Yastrzemskis of the world, and it's Yastrzemski and it's Conigliaro, and he's a local kid, and then he gets hit in the eye, loses vision in the eye, eventually does come back, has one glorious season, and then has to retire because he just can't see anymore. Just a crazy story, man. If you don't know that story, don't check it out if you're a newer baseball fan. But once again, talking about young guys hitting the 100 mark. So question to you, and I'll put this to the Peanuts and the Cracker Jacks in the chat too. Who's next? Who's next to hit that grouping of the fastest to 100 home runs? So who's going to be in that grouping? Is it a guy like Julio Rodriguez, you think? Is that the guy?
That was the number one guy on my list, Julio Rodriguez. Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there anybody else in the minor leagues right now, or anybody else coming up in baseball you feel like, yeah, that guy's got a shot at it?
Well, I mean, I get the reason like Julio immediately jumps to that list is because he's a little bit more of a prolific power hitter, and he's really, really young. Mm-hmm. Sure, there are guys. Jordan Walker would be one of those guys with the Cardinals. If he gets a call up soon, he's 20 years old, already at AA, just absolutely mashing. That would probably be the bit. Like I said, I don't want to bore. We could go a gajillion miles across, but if you're looking at young players who are really going to continuously hitting homers, Jordan Walker would be the first person that pops in my mind. But I'm very much in on Julio getting this because young dude already stashing homers, not being sent down, not hitting the bumps like Adele and Kelnick. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we'll be talking about this as Julio Rodriguez in a few years.
Kelnick's lucky if he gets 100 hits in the major leagues at this point.
Yeah, if he hits 100, yeah.
Let's get to the stat heroes. Tyler Anderson tops that board, 8 Ks, almost a no-hitter, 8 1/3 innings, 1 earned run. Zach Gallen bounced back after a rocky start last time, 5 Ks, 2 earned over 7 innings. Kyle Gibson, 8 innings, 1 earned, 6 Ks. Spencer Strider with the 11 Ks, magnificent, over 5 2/3, but still 11 Ks, you'll take it. Jose Barrios, good again. So, man, the Jekyll Hyde of Jose Barrios has got to be just, I wonder how many people who have this guy on their team have sat him for good starts, started him for bad ones, and just hate their life. Would you go out there and trade for Jose Barrios right now?
Ooh,
because of people being frustrated with him and just not like just at their wit's end of when
if someone was frustrated and had some discount. I don't really particularly love the wave writing pitchers. I think there's like a lot of people at the beginning of the year were like, okay, hey, Barrios is struggling. Don't worry about it. We'll get through this. Like, I don't really like those pitchers. So I don't know, regardless of how great he is, that I would go and acquire him because I'll bet you right now you're looking at kind of high cost.
Mm-hmm. So no. Yeah, perhaps. Luis Garcia, 9 Ks, 6 innings pitched, 1 earned. Great start from Garcia. Corbin Burns, blowout of the Mets yesterday, 8 Ks, no walks, 2 earned, 6 Ks. I didn't have to watch too much of the Mets game yesterday, so the kids and I just watched MasterChef instead because the Mets game was not really watchable if you were rooting for the Mets. Shane McClanahan, 7 Ks, 6 innings, 1 earned run, so Shane was good as well. Unfortunately, did not get the decision in that one despite pitching well. Hitters, Yoan Moncada. Boy, I don't remember last time he was on this list positively. 5 for 6 with a home run, 5 ribbies. Jake Berger, I guess, all that Jake Berger wants to take your job stuff. Manny Machado, 3 for 4 with a home run. Ahmed Rosario, 3 for 5 with a home run, 4 runs scored, and a steal. Austin Riley, and only Austin Riley, 2 home runs, 3 for 5 with 4 ribbies. Vlad was 4 for 5 with a homer, 2. He had a monster shot. Ryan Mountcastle at 2. Jorge Alfaro with a homer. Jose Abreu had a nice day, 4 for 5. Also, I don't know if you saw, because it was so hot there, they had Jose Abreu set himself up with a little tent that he made out of towels, which I thought was pretty cool. So he used the Gatorade thing, put some of the towels around, and kind of hung out there. What I thought was pretty
I like clever. The innovation of baseball players at all times. That's always my favorite.
Well, I mean, you're sitting there, it's a lot of downtime. This is part of the game. Brian Reynolds sighting, 2 for 3 with a home run. And Luke Voigt, who is actually the first guy I talked about in the waiver wire video I just recorded. That should drop sometime later today or tomorrow morning. Luke Voigt, 3 for 5 with a homer over the last week, hitting 300. 3 of his 8 home runs have come in the last 7 games. Luke Voigt starting to look like Luke Voigt. Now, I know he's a streaky guy, but he's available in almost 50% of formats in CBS. I think you got to add him if he's floating around there, just even for no other reason to block somebody else, but he can help you, I think.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Luke Voigt fan, but we talked about like the hot bats. You go with the hot bats when you possibly can. I will say though, he is carried pretty heavy by that one bad month in May. He did hit 262 in June, 273. So there definitely is a heat up factor. His average doesn't represent what he's done over the last 2 months, and the homers are picking up. Strikeouts are still a massive problem, but picked up offense. It's hard to disagree. In like a 12-man, you could probably justify him as like a util or a corner infielder. Deeper leagues, it's no doubt. I don't see a home for 10 team.
Yeah, look, I mean, Padres offense coming to life a little bit right here with Machado and Voit. Bruce Zimmerman, these were the zeros: 6 earned runs, 11 hits. Gross. Alex Fado, 7 earned runs, fading him. Austin Gomber, 5 earned. Caprillion, 5 earned. We went and attacked him yesterday. Art Warren, 1/3 of an inning and 4 earned runs for Art. Art was not good. Here you go. Here's your loser hitters. Keston Hiura, 0 for 4, 3 Ks. God, what a disappointment that guy's been. Aaron Hicks, 0 for 3, 3 Ks. All those dynasty people who loved Keston Hiura, the next batting champion every year. My God, what a disappointment.
I'm right here, Joe.
Sorry, Keston. Are you one of those guys?
No, I loved Keston. I saw him since his debut.
What happened though?
I interviewed him in the AFL.
I think he got home run happy and he just undid his swing.
I actually completely agree with you.
That's what I think happened to him.
He had in the very first year, he was dealing with this arm issue. When he came out, he was like the highest contact, projected college bat coming out. I remember talking with Jim Callis about this, and he had a lot less movement going on in his entire body and was just making solid contact. And then in the AFL, he had this big high front leg kick and he was launching the ball up in the air. And I remember I asked him if it was like, if you had any concerted swing changes, and he just like, no. And I was like, well, you clearly do. You clearly do. Your swing is more uppercut than it's ever been. And I saw him in his debut, but he didn't even really recognize it. It could have been one of those unconscious things, but it's definitely something in the, also you could look at the Brewers as a whole, like look at where Yelich is gone. I don't know if the teaching isn't translating.
Let me tell you something, brother. I am not one for this whole firing of hitting coaches. If there's one team in Major League Baseball that should fire their hitting coach and get a new voice in there, it's the Brewers.
Yeah,
for a myriad of reasons. The last few years have been absolutely freaking horrible for the Brewers offensively. Christian Yelich is going in the wrong direction. Somebody fresh needs to come into that with a new perspective and attack these guys and say, look, man, what did you do that was working? Let's get back to that. And I don't believe in that. Like, I'm not like, to me, the guy's hitting. He ultimately, that's the person who's going to fail. But when you collectively have fallen off as an organization and you're not developing the prospects either, and you get guys like Hunter Renfroe who come over and he's not hitting well either, like something's off there. That's the kind of move you make, and I think that's where I can stomach it.
I don't disagree with that. I mean, Rowdy is well, and Willie Adames was doing really good, but he's tapering back. There's really not a good way to maintain these guys in their development, especially at the younger level, which you got to worry about because they got a bunch of really good, interesting bat. They have one of the hottest prospects in the entire world right now in Dynasty. If you guys care, Jackson Churio, Joey Weimer's coming soon. It's a little bit worrisome with how they develop.
It is. It's very worrisome. All right, let's get to the home run board because somebody's at 20. Joey P, number 6. I'm coming for you, Larry. I'm right there. Night King in the North. Night King in the North has been at 21 since I feel like May 5th. I'm pretty sure. Like he's been at 21 so long. Unbelievable. You'll see here, DeBlum and Title Chaser still at 23. Cubby's at 22. Night King in the North and Larry C tied at 21. And I'm at 20. I'm coming up for that top 4, baby. Let's go. And then Mike Mayer and some other people are tied at 19. So there you go. So just but Mike Mayer back on the board. So good for you. Good job, buddy.
Doing great, sweetheart. You're doing great.
Good for you. Welsh, how come you're not on that?
I'll never be on. I'm trash. I'm worse than Rando. I'm garbage.
What are you up to? Are you on 17 still? You're stuck on 17 or no?
I have no idea. Probably worse. Way worse. I'll never get another homer again. I'm cold as ice. Don't listen to me.
All right. Look, I didn't do it yesterday, so I'm going to do it today. Okay. Go Cards did not make the board. I don't make the board. Ethan makes the board. He's a hardworking guy. I'm sorry he's not on the board. I'm going to recognize Go Cards as one of the 19 people. In fact, I'd rather see Go Cards on there than Mike Mayer's name. So bring it up with Mike Mayer. That's really the problem. Let's get to betting pros and let's get to BetMGM, the king of sports books. Bet $10, win $200 when you sign up today and download the BetMGM app. or go to betmgm.com. Bet responsibly and bet with the promo code leading off. One word, leading off. Do it. It's good for you. Have some fun. And bet the over with Spencer Strider. Let's get to some of the props today. It's Sugar House. Shohei Ohtani, 6.5 Ks. I like the over on that, minus 104. You're actually getting a pretty good number there. Xander Bogaerts at BetMGM, 1.5 total bases at plus 105. Joe Musgrove at FanDuel, 5.5 strikeouts. Bro. Against the Cubs. Bro. This game's at 2 o'clock. Immediately after this show, please go put money on this. Minus 148 to the juice. I don't care. Put it in with something else. Kevin Gossman, 6.5 Ks on DK. I like the over on that one too against Baltimore. So Musgrove at 5.5. That's a smash, Welsh, right?
Yeah, I'm broing with you for sure. That was the top one before I even looked at your board. 3 straight games he's hit those Ks. I am in with the Musgrove against the Cubs. I also like George Kirby, 5 strikeouts. Angels second most Ks per game in the league right now, around 9. They're averaging over 12 over the last 3 games, so I might take advantage of that. And Rafael Devers, total bases 1.5 over because he hit all those homers. He's hot. It's a great total base number, and might talk about him here in a little bit.
It's crazy, dude, because Judge getting all the attention, but Devers has been fantastic.
Picking it up, buddy.
All right, starting pitchers today over in the main slate tonight on DK. You got Severino at 9.4. You got Zach Wheeler at 9.6. Both are in play, but I prefer Zach Wheeler. It's a much better matchup. Just go that route. Your secondary arms there. Shohei Ohtani's just 8.2. Or you could pick a side of the Mets game, which is Ashby at 7.1 or Tyler the Terrible at 8.6. I prefer Wheeler with Ohtani. And then just make the offense work. Get the pitchers right on DK tonight. I think you could do that, and that's the pairing. I think you're in good shape. A lot of strikeouts to be had there on both of those opponents there for Wheeler and Ohtani. On the FanDuel side, single pitcher, just best Zach Wheeler lineup wins for me. That's the way I'm going tonight. So Ohtani's 10.2 is a secondary arm. I love him. 10.2 is a lot more volatility. I think Severino is going to be very heavily rostered, so I would fade away from him. And if you want to go in tournaments with somebody different, then you can go with Ashby at 8.2 against the Mets offense right now, which is, could be without Marte today, possibly too. Which brings us to our home run calls. And I'm just going to let it ride with Manny Machado making history. Theme of the show today, certainly going to be the talk of the town. So Manny Machado, let's go. And for you, Welsh, where are you going with your home run?
I'm going to cool off Rafael Devers by picking him and assuring he will not hit a homer tonight. But he will hit a double. So I love my total base marker way more than my home run call because I do not call homers.
Well, look, everybody gets on a heater eventually. You'll get on the heater, I'm sure. Speaking of heaters, sure. Mike Mayer is so hot right now for Rhys Hoskins. I mean, it's just like Hoskins every day. So I don't know. I heard, maybe he's a little mad at Ryan Mountcastle, hit a couple home runs yesterday. He didn't have him. So now he's just becoming the Rhys Hoskins guy. I don't know. He did go to Philly last week to watch a game with our friend. And I feel like, maybe he just got a little heavily influenced there in the Philadelphia time. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but it seems like everyday Rhys Hoskins. So there you have it. So if you want to make a home run call, go into our Discord chat. Again, we're giving away a prize for the month of June. I promise, though, if I have the most home runs in the month of June, I'm going to make this a statement for the people. Because I don't know. I've got a lot in June so far. June's been pretty good to Joey P. If I'm the winner, I will pick out somebody that I think is deserving to win that shirt instead. That is not me. So either the next person in home runs or somebody who's been in the chat every day, anybody but Dr. Glenn. I will pick anyone, hashtag but Doc.
But Dr. Glenn.
Yeah, well, although he did change it to Rando is over. So maybe he's back.
Oh, okay. So he said, he's officially said that it's over. It's over. By the way, I'll be in stages tonight. If a little bit later today, if anybody wants to come and hang out, if you're a part of it.
Another reason to join our Discord, the stages. You got to be a premium member, but I'm telling you, it's worth it. If you got stuff you're trying to work out with trades, you got stuff you're trying to work out with lineups, whatever you got, Welsh can help you out. So go over to Discord, fantasypros.com/chat to join. Go to BetMGM to make your bets, and of course, make sure you like this video and subscribe to Fantasy Pros MLB channel. Are we up to 8K yet? I don't know how many we're up to, but I want to be there. We're getting closer. I'm not sure exactly what the number is. Mike Mayer probably knows off the top of his head. It's getting closer. It's got to be like 7.5 or in that range. Let's get to 8. Want to drive this bad boy. Who knows where we can get to, but we get there with you. We appreciate you watching and listening and hanging out, talking baseball with us. That'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on. For the Welsh, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids. Mountcastle.